So here's the finished product. It took creative thinking to figure out exactly what to do to make the dentures. It took some critical thinking to overcome the problems, some issues that I had while making it. The easiest part was just making the mold of it, or making the starburst part. They were really easy to mold. But the hardest part was putting the teeth in the right place, because it would kind of deform the mold as I pushed the teeth into the starbursts. But here it is, starburst dentures. I don't know how people with dentures do it. I have a really strong gag reflex, and try as I might, I could not keep this thing in no matter what I did. It just triggered my gag reflex really strongly, and I just couldn't put up with it. So I really don't know how anybody does it. In a conversation with one of the teachers at the dental school, he told a story of a patient that he had that he had an immediate denture made, put it in, and he just had to go into the bathroom and throw up for a whole hour, and then was able to walk out fine. But I couldn't do it. As far as making the dentures, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I didn't really have a lot of problems with it particularly. When I put it in this one, I had to adjust a little bit to try to combat the triggering of the gag reflex. But even though I shaved off a goodly amount, I still wanted to try to keep the general size and shape of what a denture would be, and it was just not enough. As far as what I would do to improve the experience for someone, I honestly don't know. If somebody could tell me how to stop having a gag reflex, let me know as soon as possible, because I have no idea. This definitely opened my eyes to what having dentures would be like, because I know there's a lot of people that have problems with that gag reflex while wearing dentures, and I can't imagine. And so I think having that understanding of for me personally experiencing that, and being able to empathize with my patients and recognize that they're not easy. I used to think it was just something you just popped in your mouth, no big deal. It's not. There's a lot more to it, and I wish there was a better way to give somebody teeth that didn't have them, but there's not, and so we just got to make do and figure out the best things we can do for our patients. When choosing a denture, there's some important things to consider. First is cost to the patient and dentist. Second is the patient's oral health. Third is the functionality that the patient has currently and wants to have with their dentures. And then fourth is the limitations of each type of denture. As far as costs, remaining edentulous is free, though it has its own challenges and drawbacks, which are definitely many. Conventional dentures are about $1,000 an arch. Overdentures with 2 implants are $4,000 to $5,000 per arch. A bar overdenture is $10,000 to $25,000 per arch, and then a hybrid denture is $25,000 to $30,000 per arch. Next, we're going to take a look at each individual type explained here, and we'll talk about their benefits and drawbacks. Immediate dentures are meant to be placed immediately following the extraction of remaining teeth. They will need to be modified as the tissues and the bone heals and as resorption occurs, and so they are not always a perfect fit. Conventional dentures are meant to be placed after the patient has healed completely following extraction. They are kind of the gold standard by affordability, fit, and function. With these dentures, an accurate impression and fabrication is needed for a secure fit, and they will also need modification with resorption. Overdentures are like conventional dentures, but are secured to posts attached to implants. These are more likely to break, as the anchor sites are the weak points, and there's the possibility of complications with the implants. Bar overdentures are fixed to implants like a regular overdenture, but there are more implants, and they are connected by a bar. This distributes the load of the forces. The bar takes up space, though, and the bone often needs to be removed to place it. Hybrid dentures are fixed to multiple implants and are removable only by the dentist. They are stable and very secure. But hygiene is very important, as well as regular dental visits to ensure the health of the underlying gingiva is critical. The theory of idealism is a psychological principle that teaches us that ideal features are connected to an innate primal feeling called attraction. Our brains are hardwired to detect attractiveness. Ideal features follow a relatively standard and repeatable form. And in dentistry, aesthetic restoration, and in prosthodontics specifically, teeth placement and dentures is critical to social interaction as well as overall health. The theory of idealism is broken up into meta-idealism, the relationship between the face and the mouth, meso-idealism, the relationship between gums, lips, and teeth, and micro-idealism, the relationship between the teeth. As this image shows, the lines of the face are critical in determining that ideal state for that particular person. So that will vary from patient to patient. Now we will talk about the process of creating the dentures, which we did first in class on a edentulous typodont, and then we had the opportunity to do this on a live patient. First, you make your initial impression, which needs to be as accurate as possible, and this is generally first done with alginate. You then pour this up into stone to create your first set of study models. Upon these first study models, you create custom trays, which you will then go on to make your final impressions. These final impressions are made in PVS in the next appointment. They need to be perfectly accurate. First, a heavy body wash is used, followed by a wash with light body to be able to collect as much anatomy as possible. This is critical in ensuring the fit of the dentures. While taking these impressions, we will also do as our teacher calls the P90X technique to capture the range of motion in the intra and extraoral tissues. All of these things are important and go together in creating the most accurate impression of the anatomy that is present within the mouth and enables us to create well-fitting, snugly fitting dentures in the end. From those final impressions, we then make another set of stone models. These are going to be our most accurate, and on which we will make another set of Wayne Newton rims, or those custom rims. And upon those rims is where we put our wax rims. So these wax rims are going to be important for guiding us to where we place our teeth. These will be adjusted in the patient's mouth and will guide us to the placement of those teeth. We follow the rules of the theory of idealism in determining the position of those teeth using the dress to the nines guidelines as pictured here. These help us to determine the length of the teeth, essential incisors, determine the position of the buccal corridor, the occlusal plane angle, the midline position and angle, all of these things to help us set those teeth in the proper place. And so in our next appointment with the patient, we place the wax rims in their mouth, and we make marks on the wax rims and adjust the wax rims by melting it to determine all of these positions. And we want to always be sure that while taking these positions, we place ourselves in the proper position in front of the patient or to the side of the patient in order to view the effect the wax rims are having on their mouth or on the smile or on the. Now we can take those wax rims back to the lab and begin placing teeth. We place the teeth in line with the boundaries of the wax rim and within those markings that we've made to fit the person's face and mouth. And in keeping with the guideline of the wax rims, we ensure that those teeth will fit together once in the patient's mouth, that they will bite together properly, and that they will be a useful and a practical set of dentures.
In our class, we made both an ideal set and a non-ideal set, where we had taken one of those parameters of the dress to the nines and had done the opposite in order to see the effect. And so then we took them to the patients. In my case, Hermie was my patient, and she tried them in, and here's what she said.
And what's supposed to happen with these is that the front teeth on the top are supposed to be too high up. So you should have a pretty good gap. That goes through pretty full, yeah. Okay. Okay, so go ahead and give us a big
non-ideal?
smile. Yeah. As much as you can. See? There we go.
You can fit like 3 fingers in there.
So the anteriors are too high. So yeah.
Yeah. You literally can like.
Wow!
That's a big old gap, isn't it?
It's good for soup. You can just throw a bowl and you just pour it right in.
Yeah, you can hold on to those.
You never try to hold a nail in the mouth.
Okay, you're good. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so then these two right there should be a little better. Maybe a little.
Were definitely worse.
Hopefully.
Is this your bad one?
No, these are my ideal.
It's just like,
Still about the same problem.
no, I'm not sure. Well, different though.
A little different though.
Different.
All right, let's have you smile.
Yeah, go ahead and smile again right there.
I could hold a nail if I had to. I don't put
All right.
nails in my mouth though, so.
Yeah.
These other ones?
Okay, so yeah, that will be good.
So what's the good part?
Well,
Nailed that midline, dude. Nailed that
I think the
midline.
buccal corridors are probably nice. So like when you look back, the way the front the teeth curve as they come back, I think that looks pretty decent. Midline's on. I just got a little bit of a tilt on the bottom ones. So, but yeah, okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Resorption of the alveolar ridge is a gradual but constant process in the edentulous mouth. The maxilla resorbs up and in, the mandible resorbs laterally in the posterior, and over time the patient's occlusion shifts from class 1 to class 2 to class 3. As resorption occurs, the set of dentures may need to be relined to maintain fit and stability. This is done with PVS or a slow-setting acrylic. The PVS method is completed in a lab, and the acrylic method can be completed in the office. Relining increases the thickness, so eventually a rebase is necessary. The base is cut off and replaced with a new one, and this is necessary to complete this in the lab, and so it takes time. Often when a denture breaks, repair is possible. If the housing is broken or a tooth is lost, a new hole can be ground and filled with acrylic and a new tooth. If the denture is cracked or broken, it can be sealed with acrylic. Often a break requires a new impression and stone cast for proper fit.
Okay, so this is Evie. She's my own little edentulous person here in the house. And she's going to join me for this last bit. So I'm going to talk right now about professionalism and working with patients that are edentulous. I feel like the class and myself were very professional in dealing with the live patients that we had in class. It was important to us that they felt welcome and that they felt taken care of. And I feel like we made fast friends with Ross and Hermie. It was a great experience working with them. And it's important to keep that professional attitude and that respect throughout our careers as we deal with patients who are dealing with challenges that are very difficult and that just that they need help, and that we can provide that help for them. And lastly, what I would suggest in improving the edentulism experience, I feel like one of the challenges of prosthodontics is in creating an accurate replica of the mouth. And I think just the fact that there's so many steps in creating dentures, and every little step of the way can add more and more error in the prediction of the dentures. And even though a lot of that gets negated by the amount of fluctuation that occurs within the mouth, it's important to create an accurate representation of the mouth. And so I feel like if there were some way, and I don't have the answer, but if there were some way to shorten that process, to decrease the number of steps, maybe even to have some kind of device or something that could make dentures in office, to make that process a little easier, that we could make that a faster, a better experience for our patients. And also so just that they won't have to wait so long to have teeth back in their mouth again, to decrease the amount of stress and anxiety that causes.